Now, all this week, we've been focusing on the energy transition. We've looked at the debate around the renewables revolution, the challenges it faces, the pioneering technology paving the way to a greener future, and we've spoken to the people vital to hit an ambitious target. Scotland plans to be net zero by 2045. Roles in decarbonised energies are projected to increase from 20% to 65% in the next decade. And in 2030, 100,000 jobs are projected to be filled by people transferring from traditional oil and gas jobs to offshore renewables roles. Well, I'm delighted to be joined now by Myrtle Dawes, who's the CEO of the Net Zero Technology Centre. Myrtle, thank you for joining us. Do you think our 2045 target is achievable?
So I'm an optimist, so my answer is yes. But like all journeys, I think we need to plan. So the first thing is, do we know where we need to go and what time? Yes, 2045. I think, do we have a route? Do we have a pathway? So for that, we need to have the right policies. We need to have the right market to make sure we can do that. And then really, are we investing at the right pace? And from this, I mean investing in technologies, investing in skills, and investing in the right projects. And then the last thing is, do we have the right people alongside us? So are we bringing everyone with us? So not to all the companies, the workers, the unions, everyone else who's going to be involved in this.
All right. Well, let's just remind ourselves of the issues we've been highlighting all this week.
In and around Scotland, we've got significant renewable potential, both in wind, in solar, even tidal and wave energy as well. And if you think about how big an asset that is for us as a nation, it presents us with a significant supply chain opportunity to transition those jobs and skills across to a new energy future.
There will still be a requirement for oil and gas. And I think from the sector's point of view, it's really clear, while there is still a domestic demand, surely it makes sense that we use our own domestic resources to fulfil that demand.
Ultimately, we know that that is an industry that is in decline, it doesn't have a future, and that there is actually a huge opportunity for the UK to have a world-leading renewable industry. So that's where the government's got to put its focus, and it's got to stop propping up an industry that ultimately is headed for decline.
There's not enough support for small companies to be able to basically research and develop new technologies. I'd quite like to see a funding body which would maybe utilise some of the profits from the windfall taxes to be regenerated into creating technology to support a greener operation in the North Sea.
There's still a lot to be done to create jobs, because the energy transition is a big thing that is happening, and it's an avenue for lots of jobs to be created. We need to start seeing these jobs.
So Myrtle, we heard there from the people in that report that there is worry that there's a lack of investment in the transition. How can that be fixed?
So I would agree that in terms of the pace of investment and just general activity, that definitely needs to pick up. And whether this is investment in the R&D space so that we're creating fantastic new ideas and new opportunities for the supply chain, or really investment so that we can transition workers as we go along, that definitely is key. The one thing I would say is, if you look abroad, there's a lot of investment going into energy transition. But one of the things we need to be really careful about is that we actually already have a lot of the skills here, and we need to really invest and retain our talent here locally, because they are the ones that will deliver this transition for us.
So how do we harness those skills and make the transition as smooth as possible?
So one of the things is, and I see this happening already, is to make sure that alongside the traditional energies that we are creating new opportunities, and that we are cycling people through, and that we are actually investing in new technology so we can move teams onto that. So when I look around, I see, if I just even look in Aberdeen, we see some of the small green energy, green hydrogen opportunities which are around, and there's a lot of innovation going on. So I think we need to really move people slowly into that, but the investment needs to come for the majority of the workforce to do that.
So it really does sound like Scotland is in a really great place to become maybe a world leader in renewables technology. From what we've heard, what more support does the sector need?
So Scotland is definitely a leader. You hear that from everybody else, and so that's really important. But we're never going to maintain that leadership without really big investment. And I don't think we're going to necessarily compete with the investment acts that we've seen in the US. But what we can do is invest in entrepreneurship and make sure we're anchoring fantastic technology and opportunities here in Scotland.
Myrtle Dawes, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.